Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm gonna have to return to you hopefully for I don't know how long of a video. It's probably gonna be close to 20 minutes of a video, but basically I'm returning to you for part 2 of the decent to good movies of 2022 video. And I know it's like 10:30 where I'm at, and I know I gotta get going to bed very soon. And I will be going to bed very soon. I just want to get this video out to you guys so you have something to enjoy tonight. But this is premiering at like 1 or 2 a.m. This video for the second part of Decent to Good Movies of 2022. So I'm going to continue where I left off, which is from numbers 22 to whatever number I get to in this part. It's probably going to be a 3-part video, of course. So the next part will be sometime tomorrow afternoon. So definitely tune into that. So I'll let you know what I thought of each movie as I go on through the list. So let's dive into number 22, which is 3,000 Years of Longing. Now, this had Idris Elba in it, and I can't remember the other actress's name, but she was in Constantine and the Narnia movie, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. The first one, of course. And basically, this movie wasn't too bad. It was decent. It's probably one of the more stronger, decent movies I've seen this year. But basically, it's about this Jinn, Idris Elba, who has to make wishes for the one that summoned the Jinn, of course. So they get 3 wishes, and she chooses love, of course. Love for the Jinn. So it's pretty passionate movie, I guess you could say. Uh, and yeah, it's not a bad movie, but the most of the movie did feel a tad bit boring in my opinion. But was what he was trying to explain with the story, Idris Elba's character as the Jinn. He was just trying to explain the previous wish granters that were previous girls that were or whoever that were making the wishes to the Jinn and all that. So he explained every story behind the previous wish granters, of course. But basically, at number 22 is 3,000 Years of Longing. It took a little bit to finish this movie, but it wasn't a very long movie. It was like an hour and 8 minutes. An hour and 48 minutes, I meant to say, not an hour and 8 minutes. That'd be very short of a movie. But still. Number 21 is Cyrano. Um, Cyrano is not a bad movie. It's decent for what it is. It's gotten a little weaker as time went on. Um, I wasn't sure if I was gonna feel for this movie when I first watched it because it was more of a musical movie, but it had a good script. It had a solid script for what it went for. But I wouldn't call this the best movie of 2022. So, yeah, definitely check this movie out when you get the chance. It's not a bad movie, it's just there are musical cuts moments in this movie that make it seem on the fence with some viewers, but other than that, decent movie. So, at number 21 is Cyrano. Peter Dinklage plays as Cyrano in this movie. So basically, I like his acting in this movie, and his performance in it was pretty good. So I highly recommend you check this movie out. And number 20 is The Fallout. Now, this was a movie about a school shooting, which is pretty horrible. Jenna Ortega plays in this movie, and she experiences a school shooting in the movie. Of course, not. They're making it spreading awareness towards school shootings, but then they kind of drift off into like boring segments in the movie where it's just like okay, so it just drags for a while until the end of the movie shows on her phone there was another school shooting. But basically, for what I got with this movie, I think they spread awareness in a good way, but also it just didn't feel like an interesting movie to me, in my opinion. So at number 20 is The Fallout. At number 19 is Barbarian. Now, this is a pretty brutal movie. It's an average movie, it's just pretty brutal for sure. And really messed up, too. Like, it shows one of the creatures at very disformed in this movie. It's basically the mother or whatever of the child, and basically you get I think Justin Long plays in this movie as a certain character who's been charged of sexual harassment or something like that. Uh, or I don't know if he was falsely accused or not, but I don't know. That's in the movie, of course, not in real life. But basically, Justin Long plays a kind of unlikable character at first, and then you real. And give me a second, guys. I gotta pause the video. Sorry, guys. My mom was calling me for a moment, so I had to pause the video for a second. Yeah, pretty much Barbarian was a pretty brutal movie, like I said. And it's pretty sick, too. There's a lot of gross scenes in the movie. But I think the story behind it is interesting for the beginning of it. But towards the end, it just gets very gory and very messed up, too, with how it turns out, the movie. So definitely check this movie out for yourself. It's not a bad watch. It's just kind of gross, too, at the same time. So at number 19 was Barbarian. Alright, at number 18 is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the Nicolas Cage movie that came out back in this, I think it was April, if I remember correctly, is when it came out in theaters, and then it just came out on DVD a month and a half later. Hey, sorry about my yawning, I'm just like, I gotta go to bed soon, so yeah, I just wanted to do this video for you guys. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. Basically, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is a movie about Nicolas Cage playing as Nicolas Cage, and but pretty much the movie was not so bad. It's just about Pedro Pascal in the movie, who's like this drug lord or whatever, or part of a drug lord's family or whatever, and they have to uncover. Well, he goes undercover, Nicolas Cage, to figure out if Pedro Pascal is hiding the women that are being held captive or whatever. So, yeah, pretty much. I think this movie was average. Wasn't the best movie, but there were some interesting action scenes that really intrigued me with this movie. So the special effects were pretty cool. So I highly recommend you check this movie out to see what you think of it for yourself. I think it's average, but that's my opinion. So at number 18 is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Alright, at number 17 is Uncharted. Now, this had Tom Holland in it, Mark Wahlberg, and many other actors and actresses. I think Antonio Banderas was in this movie for a brief period of time, and you don't find out what really happens until later on in the movie. And I'm sorry for yawning in this video. I'm just, like I said, I gotta go to bed very soon to get up early for work tomorrow. So basically, Uncharted was an interesting movie. Not the best movie, but it was average for what it went for. The premise of the movie did pretty well, and the script was on point majority of the time until it goes into different sequences that I'm not sure if I'm feeling for. but still the movie did perform alright. So at number 17 is Uncharted. Definitely go check out my movie review I did earlier this year. Came out back in February, I think February 18th, if I remember correctly. So when I reviewed the movie, somewhere around that weekend, I think. Or maybe a month after, I can't remember honestly. Number 16 is Death on the Nile. Now, this movie was average. It's another who did it kind of movie, murder mystery thing. So basically Gal Gadot is in this movie, and there's a certain moment in the movie where they're trying to figure out who killed Gal Gadot, of course, in the movie. If you've seen this movie on Hulu, or at least, because I think they have it on streaming services, of course, this movie on Hulu, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it's still on Hulu or not, but it basically was an average movie. I think some of the other moments got a little tad bit boring and kind of dragged for a bit, and it just, certain sequences dragged and extremely dragged, I guess you could say. Wouldn't say it was bad, it was slightly underperformed in certain areas in the movie, but other than that, it was an alright movie. So at number 16 is Death on the Nile, and that's just my opinion at least. If you did like this movie, more power to you, of course, and hopefully you found something you liked about it. So let me know in the comment section below, of course. Number 15 is The Menu. Now, this movie I watched it recently, and it was so fucked up, for sure. It's just Ralph Fiennes playing as chef or whatever, the chef of in the Menu, that's hosting Anya Taylor-Joy and the other guy in the movie. I've seen him in the X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past and all that. Plays as the blue monster creature or whatever. So basically, I think this movie was average in my opinion. Not the best movie I've seen this year, but it's something at least. So, it's pretty messed up. They're just pretty much killing people in this movie and making them into gourmet food and all that. I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? So I'm like, this is so fucked up. But still, the movie's premise and the script was solid. Not great, but solid. Anya Taylor-Joy was the only one that, I can't spoil it for you, but basically someone does get out alive. And in a good way, of course. So it ends well for that person. But everyone else dies, unfortunately. If you watch the movie, you kind of know it's about him cooking people. It's pretty fucked up. So at number 15 is The Menu. Number 14 is Turning Red. Now, this was a pretty average movie. I think the beginning was very sluggish and kind of on the cringe side for me. And, like, I don't know if I like the beginning sequences of the movie. But then it gets better as the movie progresses because the girl turns into, like, this furry red monster thing or whatever. Red creature. Some kind of panda or whatever, the red panda or whatever, I don't fucking know, but basically the movie was average. The script was fine. It wasn't the best script I've seen in a Disney movie, but it's something at least. I watched it a few months ago. I actually watched it, I think in April if I remember correctly, but I did enjoy some moments in the movie when it got to the close to the second half of the movie into the third act, and the third act was probably where it got a little bit better. So at number 14 is Turning Red. Definitely go check out my movie review. Sorry, I slurred my word there. my movie review for it if you haven't seen it yet. I think you might personally enjoy it. Number 13 is The Adam Project. Now, this has Ryan Reynolds in it and Zoe Saldana, officially Zoe Saldana, in this movie. And this was a solid movie. It had a good script. Not the best script, but an interesting one, for sure. The script was slightly on point. There are some sequences I don't know if I felt for in the movie, but other than that, it was not a bad movie. It's just about them time traveling, Ryan Reynolds time traveling in the movie, and basically goes back to his 12-year-old self or something like that. That is trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life and all that. So it's an interesting movie, and his 12-year-old self's in school, of course, and just getting picked on by bullies and all that shit. But at number 13 is The Adam Project. There was some interesting moments and good action sequences in the movie, but other than that, not a bad movie. At number 12 is The Bad Guys. Now, this is an animated film, of course, but it's pretty interesting. It's about these bad guys wanting to go good after them being so bad and stealing stuff and all that. So basically, they do end up trying to do good for the town or whatever that they're robbing from and all that and getting away with it. And then something clicks with them where they do end up finding out who's setting them up and all that. So basically, definitely check this movie out if you haven't seen it. I think you might personally enjoy it. It's not a bad movie in my opinion, but I wouldn't say it's the best movie I've seen of 2022, but it's average. So at number 12 is The Bad Guys. Number 11, this will have to be the last movie I mention, is Day Shift. Now, this is with Jamie Foxx in it, and what's his name? Dave Franco is in this movie, and the guy who played Kevin in Shameless is in the movie as well, and Snoop Dogg's in it, of course. And it's not a bad movie. Probably one of the strongest average movies of the year. One of them, at least. But the script wasn't bad. The movie's premise was alright. But the script, like I said, had its moments where it was good and then other moments where I didn't feel for certain sequences. But still, Jamie Foxx did put on a good performance for his character. So at number 11 is Day Shift. I'm going to have to return to you tomorrow for part 3 of the decent to good movies of 2022 video. It's going to be tomorrow afternoon sometime. So definitely tune into that video. I hope you enjoyed this decent to good movies of 2022 video. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. Stay safe, take care, and as always, I'll see you in my next review.